everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And I came in today to talk about some of the things that have been in the news this past week. There's been a bunch of stuff that has happened, and I just wanted to talk about it. Now, y'all, the first one that I wanted to talk about was this school shooting down in Florida. Yes, y'all, there has been another school shooting, 17 people killed. 12 people injured, and scores of terrified school children. Another shooting. Y'all, the reason why this bothers me is because these are children. You know, whether it was a high school or not, these are our children. And because they can't vote, they don't have a say in gun control or any of that. And then right after this shooting happened, of course, the Republicans say now is not the time to talk about gun control. And my question to that is, if not now, when? When are we going to have a real discussion about getting these assault rifles banned? When are we going to have a real discussion about mental health and how we have a lot of crazy people walking around here able to buy guns? If I'm not mistaken, back in the 80s, Reagan, did away with a lot of programs that were set to help these people, to offer them assistance and to keep track of them. And because we no longer have those programs for families to get their loved ones involved, and when they know that they have mental problems, this is the end result. You have people wandering around, you know, who need mental health counseling, mental health help, that are able to buy guns. And when I found out about this when I was at work, I was like, oh my God, not another school shooting. Now you have this young man who is 19 years old who lost, his parents and was adopted out, and then lost his adoptive mother and then adoptive father. And he was just out there, with problems and issues, and then decided to go purchase a gun and go to this school and just wreak havoc, you know, hurting people, destroying lives, killing people. This has got to stop, y'all. We have got to have a comprehensive gun control, comprehensive gun control here in America. We talk about other countries and all of that, but if you think about it, America has such a big problem with guns and murders and all of that. And if you look at the world, the civilized world, we have more killings by gun than any other country on the planet. That should say something. We tout ourselves as the greatest nation on earth, but when it comes to gun control, we have no clue what to do. And because of that, you're going to continue to see these types of mass shootings across the country. There are shootings that we don't even hear about. We only hear about it when it's something as big as this, or something that like what happened in Vegas, or down at Pulse nightclub, where other psycho gunmen open fire on large groups of people. This shit is ridiculous, y'all. It is ridiculous. I even think about my daughter now studying to be a teacher, and imagining her in a building where an active shooter is, and the terror that my young adult would be under, trying to protect her students, but also trying not to get killed herself. It makes me want her to choose another profession, because once upon a time, being a teacher or working in a school was not a dangerous prospect. But nowadays, being a teacher can be very dangerous, because those people in those schools are vulnerable. And that's why a lot of these gunmen choose schools, because they know that when they go in there, these kids are unarmed, those teachers are unarmed, and they can just open fire and just, like I said, wreak havoc. So these Republicans have got to come to some type of an agreement about these guns. But you know that they are getting money from the NRA, and that's what keeps them silent and keeps them allowing all of these guns to just flow out across America. Now, these students down in Florida at that school, the survivors, they have come up with a plan. They say on March 24th that they are going to march, and school children all across the country are going to march in protest of all these guns, because they are the innocent victims. Like I said, they don't have a vote. They're underage. So they're at the mercy of what their parents vote for, what these Republican parents are voting for. These kids are at the mercy of adults. They're the ones that are in these schools. They're the ones that are coming up against these psychotic gunmen who just go into schools and take lives. So when I heard this story, I said to myself, these Republicans, as soon as the story starts to break, they're going to be talking about now is not the time, and, let's focus on mental health and all that. And yes, we need to focus on that as well. But a mental person, a person who has problems with mental issues, if they didn't have a gun, they wouldn't be able to cause all this murder and mayhem and destroying of lives that they're doing. A person that has mental issues without a gun is just a person with mental issues. So y'all, when we vote next time, we need to vote to get some of these Republicans out, get some people in there that are going to do some things with gun control, because I say overhaul the whole system, you know, because like I said, we are the the most brutal country when it comes to guns. And you can do your research. Other countries, other civilized countries, do not have as much gun violence as we do here in America. And I don't want to see another mass shooting. I don't want to see children running out of a school terrified, calling their parents and, saying their last words because they think that they're not going to make it out of it. Y'all, as parents and voters and taxpayers, we have got to do better. Let me know what y'all think of this story, and how do you think that we can stop all of this gun violence? I know it's a big undertaking and it would mean a change in America, but are you on board with gun control, or what exactly do you think that we need to do? Leave it down in the comments, and on to the next story. It's Mueller time. Y'all, these investigative departments are not playing with Trump. Bob Mueller has recently indicted several Russians in the tampering of our elections, and he's making his way to Trump. Now, the reason why Trump keeps saying that this is all a farce and it's fake news and all of that stuff is because if he admits that what Bob Mueller is doing and the fact that the Russians did interfere in our elections, what he feels is that it delegitimizes his election. And that's something, with his ego that he cannot stand for. But what started out as, the FBI and all of our major investigative agencies doing was they were finding out what exactly the Russians were doing. And then that investigation led them to Trump. They didn't start off, investigating Trump. They started off trying to find out what the Russians were doing. And that, like I said, that investigation led to Trump. But I'm going to tell y'all something that I believe. You know, all of this talking that the Trump administration is doing about the FBI, the CIA, and everybody else, those folks that work in those agencies are getting a bad rap. And what I believe is going to make them work harder to find out the connection between the Russians and Trump. He thinks that, and by he, I mean Trump believes that by talking about them, he's turning the country against, the FBI and all of those agencies. And yes, he might be turning a certain segment of the country against those agencies. But what he's also unwittingly doing is he's making them work harder. Because right now, when you think of the FBI before Trump and his administration got in office, you thought of them as the people that worked undercover to keep us safe, to protect the United States. And you have a president who's now telling you those agencies aren't worth shit, that they are not headed by good people, that they're all corrupt, and blah, blah, blah. Don't you think it's making those FBI agents who are sworn to protect us as Americans and the Constitution and everything that America stands for, don't you think it's making them angry that their commander in chief is turning the people within the country against them? And if I was an FBI agent, it would make me work harder to find out what is this link? How is Trump involved? How is his children, his the people that he has in his administration? How are all these people linked to Russia and why? I think Trump is digging his own hole. And let me tell y'all something. We may not find out everything while Trump is in office. Say he's in office for 4 years. The FBI may still be, investigating everything to make sure that when they do come out with the full story, that they have crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's. But what I truly believe is that when they're done, they are going to have Trump by the balls. I believe that they are going to do everything to make sure that when they present this investigation to the American people, there are no doubts in their minds. Just think about Watergate when all of that stuff happened. Like my mother was telling me, a lot of stuff, we found out during the presidency of Nixon, and then a lot of stuff we found out after because the investigation went on. Once they got involved in the investigation, it wasn't complete. It kept leading them to this direction and that direction, and they had to investigate every link to Watergate. Same thing with this Russian Trump thing. They have to investigate every different link to the Russians and make sure that when they're doing it, they have a complete investigation. So no matter what Trump is saying, no matter how he's calling, the news reports about the Russians fake news, these FBI agents and these investigative departments, they're doing what we hired them to do. They're investigating corruption. And for that, we should be proud that no matter how their president is speaking of them, they're still doing their job. It sounds like to me that Trump is running scared and he knows that there is something there. And before Mueller releases all the information, he's trying to turn the American people against the FBI and all of those investigative, agencies, so people don't believe what Mueller finds. I find it quite funny that he's running scared like a little bitch. If he had nothing to hide, if there was nothing there, he would let this investigation, run its course. But what he's doing is he's firing people, calling it fake news. And that makes me say, you know what? There is something there. Y'all, I would like to know what y'all think about it. What do you think about Trump and those Russians? What do you even think about Mueller recently indicting some of those Russians? Y'all, I believe that there is something there. I also believe that the Russians are not done with us. I believe that in any election that we have coming up, that because they were able to get in, back when they got in before and they were successful, that they're going to do it again. And it's a shame that we have a president that's such a big baby and a fool that he is not protecting the interests of America against these Russians. Child, y'all just let me know what y'all think of all of this down in the comment section. I would be curious to know what everyone else feels about this because I believe that there is something there, and eventually we will have the full picture. We will have the full story because Mueller is determined to find out what's been going on. So leave your comments down in the comment section and on to the next story. Now, while we're talking about 45, y'all, we gotta talk about these women, Trump and his bitches. Y'all, when I heard that there was a porn star who slept with him, first of all, y'all, I was sitting here thinking, ugh, ugh, who would want to sleep with this man? Now I know that the job comes with some money. The bitch got paid and it was hidden by Trump's lawyer. He went, before the election and paid her off and said, if someone comes to you about your little rendezvous with Trump, say it never happened. But like all things that are hidden or are kept in the dark, they eventually come to the light. So his little rendezvous with this porn star came out. But y'all, the bottom line is I just don't understand because if I had got a call, just say I was a porn star, and I had got a call that my next job was to go lay up with Trump, y'all, I think I would have quit. The thought of him touching me would have made me fucking throw up. He disgusts me. And then here recently, we find out that along with the porn star and all of those other women who accused him of touching them or saying inappropriate things to them, that he's also been involved with a Playboy bunny. That bitch was crazy too. Because ain't no way, y'all, that I could lay up with him. Think of him up over you, grunting and sweating and ugh, y'all. I'm trying to paint a visual here of this orange pumpkin laying up with these women. And I was thinking about his wife, y'all, and how people are feeling sorry for her and all of that. But y'all, I'm here to tell you, I really don't feel sorry for the bitch because first of all, she knew what she was signing on to. From what I'm understanding, she cheated with him, I guess, when he was married to Marla Maples. Is that the last one that he was married to before her? And then her reputation is not squeaky clean. She posed nude and all that kind of stuff. So, she knew what she was getting into. She knew what he was about. If she was cheating with him and he was married to another woman, I just don't feel sorry for her. I can't find any sympathy for her. Now, I was talking to my mother, and when my mother was, talking about Melania, I could hear in my mother's voice that she had a little bit of sympathy for her. And then I tried to muster up some, and then I just said, you know what? I don't feel sorry for her. You know, she got what she signed up for. an asshole for a husband. I don't feel sorry that, now she's in the White House and they say that she's miserable and she doesn't want to be around him. If you feel that way, then take your child and jet. But like I told my mother, what I believe is that he told her, yeah, you can divorce me, but you're not taking Barron with you. I believe that he would fight her for custody of Barron just to spite her, because he is an asshole. But the fact that he has all of these women that are coming out the woodwork who have slept with this fool, you know, I don't want to talk about the implications, of him being president and cheating because they talked about Bill Clinton and how terrible he was, but look, we got a Republican president in the White House that bitches are coming out the woodwork now saying that they slept with him and they talked about Bill Clinton. So why can't we talk about what this man has done on the side and what is coming out the woodwork, and how do we know that he's not involved in something now? You know, this man, y'all, he's something else. He is something else. And like in my last story that I said, whatever he's doing in the dark, it's gonna come to the light, y'all. It's gonna come to the light. And I'm gonna say I have been around for quite a few presidents now. And I talked to my mother, I talked to my grandmother who's seen God only knows how many presidents. And both of them say they have never seen anything like this administration in their lives. My grandmother, I was just talking to her a couple days ago, and my grandmother was like, I've been watching the news. And she said, and I've seen a lot of presidents who have been caught up in turmoil and confusion and corruption in their administration. But what my grandmother said is, and my grandmother will be 93 years old this year, y'all. She says she has never seen anything like this in her life. So, you have to take people who have been around for a long time, you have to take what they say into consideration. And when they say that they're worried for the country, it makes you worry because they've seen a lot. I want to know what y'all think about him and all these bitches. And do y'all feel sorry for Melania? Like I said, I can't muster up any sympathy for her because she signed up for this, y'all. So let me know down in the comments what you think of all this, all these bitches coming out the woodwork, and then on to the next story, y'all. Now, my last story, y'all, is about Black Panther. And I haven't seen the movie yet. I am going to get with my kids when they are both available, and I want to go see it with them. But I am hearing such good things about this movie. And I just watched on the news this Sunday morning that this movie is slated to reach $200 million in sales in the first weekend. So what they say about black movies not being popular, it is a myth, and we all knew that. We just needed a chance. Now, I don't want to talk about the movie itself because I don't want to give out any spoilers or anything like that. I just wanted to talk about the success this opening weekend and how when black people heard that this movie was coming out, how much they have supported it and how due to that support ticket sales are just over the roof. They even said that outside the country, over in Europe, that this opening weekend, that this movie grossed over $25 million. And they're surprised. Now, as black people, we know that if you put out a good product for us, something that doesn't have to do with slavery and us back in the Jim Crow era, getting beat and all of that, we're going to go see the movie. We're going to support it. This is one of the first times that they had a superhero. Now I know that there have been other movies, but for some reason, this movie, this movie has sparked an interest out there in the black community. And I watched, when they filmed people going into the movie and coming out, how they were dressed and how excited they were. And then after they saw the movie, how they said that the movie was well made and that the story was solid. And I also watched some reviews of the movie where people who didn't feel that, they weren't excited about it, but they went to see it because they wanted to support it. And then after seeing it, they were surprised at how good the movie was. So it's making me excited for the movie. Now, normally I don't go see like action movies and all of that. I'm a woman and I'm a woman of a certain age. So, it takes a lot for me to go out to see a movie of this type, just any action movie. But because of the reviews and just listening to my kids talk about it and seeing everything that they're saying about it, it's making me want to go see this movie. And I plan to support, these black actors and black actresses that are in this movie. Now, I also saw an interview with the guy who's playing Black Panther. And it just watching his interview, that also made me want to go see the movie. He talked about these two little boys that he had befriended while he was making the movie. And both of these little boys had terminal cancer, and how their parents had told him that they were trying to hold on, meaning that they were trying not to die because they wanted to see this movie. And he was so touched that it made him break down and start crying. And I think his name is Chadwick Boseman. I might be pronouncing it wrong, and you guys can correct me down in the comment section. But just the reaction that he had in finding out that those two little boys died, and how it touched him that their last wish was to see this movie. And he thought about it while he was, in the interview, during the interview, and it made him break down. And when he did, it made me see something in him, a sensitive side. And I said, you know what, this guy um did his best in this movie, and the fact that we are supportive of him, it has really touched him. And he said that it made him work harder in making sure he got the accent right and that he played the part to the best of his abilities, because he knew that there were a lot of black people out there that were looking forward to a superhero that was black. So with that, y'all, this is the end of the video. And if you guys have seen the movie, can you do me a favor? Can you leave down in the comments without a spoiler, because a lot of us haven't seen it? If you saw it, tell me what you thought of it. I'm going to go see it anyway, but I like to know what the people who have actually gone to see it think of it, because I just got a good feeling about this movie, and I hope I'm not disappointed. So with that, y'all, this is the end of the video. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a wonderful Sunday, y'all. Bye-bye now.